Hey everybody, today we're doing Exorcist 3, Legion. So stay tuned and see if this is a better sequel than The Heretic. Hard follow, but we'll see.
Is this a metal thing?
Yes.
Little taste.
David, what is this?
It's pretty thick.
Break.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Ugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso. Horror.
Kind of lost some energy at the end of that. This is you can always tell when we record 2 episodes in a day. This is going to be the low energy episode. No, we're going to keep it up. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful.
More energy, more passion.
More passion, more energy. Hi, I'm Bryce Hanson.
And I'm Max Allen.
And with us today is listener Ben O. He begged to be on, and we let him. It's not always going to be happen. Yeah, the backstory is Ben was being very gracious. He reached out on Facebook and was like, "Hey, can I pay to be on?" And I said, "Yes, we have a Patreon tier for that. It's $666." To which he said, "No, thank you," which is understandable. But, we've invited people on before. So I said, "Hey, what did you want to review? If we invite you, then that's free." And he mentioned Exorcist 3, which was on my very, very short list of movies that I wanted to review. So here he is. Ben's been a long-time listener since the early days with him whose name shall not be spoken. And
That evil man.
and he's been leaving us voicemails and stuff. So you might recognize Ben's voice. But welcome, Ben. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Yep. This is Ben from RVA, Richmond, Virginia. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So on our episode, if you're new, you should know that we're a silly and opinionated horror movie review show. New releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Don't expect a full recap, but strap in for some hot takes as we dive into what we liked and hated about the movie. Make sure you rate and review anywhere you're listening. It really helps us out in the algos. Also check out horrormovietalk.com to find links to our socials, or call 682-253-4468 and leave us a voicemail. You never know what'll happen if you leave voicemails. Look, Ben is living out his dreams.
It's a dream.
We got a great show today. We'll be reviewing Exorcist 3, The Heretic. We'll start out by giving a brief spoiler-free synopsis.
This is not
and
the
review.
Heretic. Exorcist 2 is the Heretic.
Oh, it's not the Heretic. Oh, Legion.
Thank God.
Legion. Exorcist 3, Legion. We'll start out by giving a brief... I already said that. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, we'll be doing... Get ready, people. The oft-requested bit. That's right. We're playing horror or porno later in the episode. So, buckle up. It'll be an Exorcist-themed horror or porno. I was going to do a exorcism or porno, but I didn't want to change my performance on the horror or porno clip. So, whatever. This is too much.
Ben, what do the
inside
fans
baseball.
think? What do the fans think of DiGiorno or porno? Because or DiGiorno or what was horror or DiGiorno?
Horror
Because,
or DiGiorno.
If the fans want it, I'll bring it back.
I love all the games. The more games, the better.
That's funny because I hate all the games. That is
Really?
a very interesting take.
I could see preparing for them could be kind of a pain, maybe.
Yeah. It's worth it. Sometimes. Okay, Exorcist 3 can be found on Peacock, Tubi, Sling TV, Plex, Amazon Prime Video, Zumo Play, Pluto TV, the Roku channel, Hoopla, and AMC Plus. So
it's out there.
It must be super cheap to license. The film begins 17 years after the events of The Exorcist and follows the characters Father Dyer and Lieutenant Kinderman, who have kindled their relationship from the shared tragedy of losing their friend Father Karras. A series of murders in Washington, D.C. copycat the Gemini killer, who has been dead for 17 years. Don't do the math or you're going to spoil it for yourself. Kinderman is befuddled that they include Gemini's trademarks that were never revealed to the public, and the investigation leads to a psychiatric ward and a supernatural suspect. The Exorcist III certainly does a better job of carrying forth the themes and story of the first film. However, it never comes close to matching its quality. That being said, it's a vast improvement over the incomprehensible mess of Exorcist II: The Heretic. The film is written and directed by William Peter Blatty, the author of the original Exorcist novel, and Legion, the novel that this is based off of. While the writing's good and the characters and relationships strong, the direction is a mixed bag at best. It's hard to put a finger on whether it's because of Blatty's lack of experience. He did one full feature-length film before this, or can we blame it on the fact that there's a lot of studio interference demanding more of a direct sequel? The answer is probably both. The relationship between Dyer and Kinderman is the best part and the heart of the film. The dialogue between them genuinely feels like old friends sharing a laugh and challenging each other's philosophies. Like The Exorcist, the dichotomy of good versus evil and the nature of man is explored. Like the original, the forces of evil seem to be unhindered, and as such, the tone is oppressive and dark at times. The standout performance, however, is Brad Dourif as the Gemini killer. Rarely has Dourif been given the free rein to appear on screen himself and deliver a truly scene-chewing performance that displays his full range. It goes from calm meticulousness to unhinged rage within seconds. It's a pleasure to watch. The things that hold back the film from being great are the unrefined visual style and the obviously wedged in and tonally divergent exorcism in Act 3. It goes from a tight and oppressive thriller to a bombastic supernatural bombardment in the last act, which feels completely out of place. I like the movie. I think it has a lot of good stuff. Most of the good is in the writing and the dialogue, and most of the bad just comes from a confused visual style and like obvious studio interference. So I give it a 7 out of 10. It's worthy. It's probably the only sequel or prequel of The Exorcist that deserves a watch, in my opinion. Everything else is pretty trash.
What, you don't like Exorcist Believer? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no, thanks, man. What did you think, Max?
So I was actually surprised at how much I liked this because obviously the original Exorcist is so fun. And then I've watched Exorcist 2, but I was like sick and I think I fell asleep like right before it ended. So I'd never even really finished it, but it was just so boring. I never went back to it. And I've seen Exorcist Believer. So I wasn't really in a good headspace going into this. I thought it was just going to be slop, but it's actually pretty good. Definitely not as good as the original, but something I think it does really well is instead of doing like the classic jump scare or like creepy music leading up to something horrifying, it'll just play a scene and then all of a sudden something like really creepy will be in the background of the scene and the scene just keeps going. And it's awesome. It's really effective. Like it grabs your attention so hard. And the performance was really good. I liked that it, at least for the first half, went more of like a grounded in realism route, where yes, we're in the Exorcist universe, but for all they know, this is just like some killings happening, and it's more of like a detective movie for a while. And I think it rides that line really good up until the end, where it kind of blows its load and goes full supernatural, which is fine, but definitely a different take. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 as well.
So what do you think, Ben? This was your rec originally. What brought you to love The Exorcist III?
Yeah, it's sunk its claws in me for so long. I originally saw the first Exorcist, and I remember Bryce. I think I knew it was one of your favorite movies. So I got into it. The first one, loved it, watched it a couple times, and then I kept seeing this clip art of scenes from this movie, and making recommendations to watch it. So I was like, I'll give that a shot. And the first time I watched it, I really didn't fully understand what was going on. It's a pretty heavy. There's a lot of heavy dialogue. There's a lot of long dialogue. I'm not the smartest kid in the class, but once I started to kind of watch it and think about it, there's so much to chew on in here. And it's one of the only movies that I can think of that the more I watch it, the more it gives me. And I've probably seen it six or seven times now. And even on the prep for this episode, I found things I didn't recognize or realize. And it's just this beautiful lattice work of mystery, of horror. It's so gritty. It's dark. It's got this early 90s kind of like grit, kind of what you would feel from like Seven, like almost like movie Seven. And I like the slight supernatural horror at the start. And yeah, it does totally blow its load in the end due to the studio interference. I've read the original Exorcist. I've read this book, Legion, and comparing it to the original Exorcist, which is a 10 out of 10. It's never going to live up to it, but it's a damn good film to get into and to rewatch every few years or so. Mm-hmm. And I give it a 9 out of 10 just due to that studio interference. But if it wasn't compared to the original, I just give it a 10. If it's a standalone.
Yeah. It really could have been a standalone, to be honest. It was written to be what it is, so that's fine. But the story, I think, holds up on its own pretty good if you just make it its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the majority of the studio interference that happened was to make it more sequel-y. So there was, in the original draft, no exorcism. It was never going to be called The Exorcist III until the studio demanded it. It was always going to be called Legion. And like it would have served as like its own standalone film better if they didn't try to wedge in like, hey, remember The Exorcist? Hey, look at the stairs. Remember the stairs? Remember the stairs at the end of The Exorcist? Also, remember what exorcisms are like? Here's a priest. We haven't had a priest do an exorcism yet, so better do that quick. Like it feels very wedged in, whereas like the actual interesting story of Kinderman doing the investigation and like what the actual story of the possession in this story is way more interesting than telling another cookie cutter exorcism story. And you can kind of see, the scissor lines of like where the original idea is spliced with the studio putting in more scenes that are, reminiscent of exorcisms and The Exorcist itself. So,
and
overall it's great.
Cut.
I mean, those parts where it's obviously what the original vision is what make the movie good. And it's not like the stuff that's added is terrible. It's just tonally jarring at times.
Yeah.
and over the top. Like it's the exorcism at the end is just like, it almost feels like a holdover of like the 80s supernatural stuff. It felt very Ghostbustery and poltergeist like, where it's like everything is chaos now. So yeah, let's move into the mid-roll. Hey, listen to this ad. That's right. I'm going to make you listen to ads as long as you're in this mid-roll.
Ben, how bad are the ads?
Ooh, Chumba Casino? Man, I almost want to go there now.
There's lots of ways you can support the show that don't include listening to commercials like this one. You can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/horror movie talk, where we just shook up our tiers, and that's a lot more generous. So, if you've been holding on to your wallet and being like, I'm not going to pay that much to be able to vote on a movie for horror movie talk to vote on, well, good news. It's a lot cheaper now. And we've added a new benefit. Most of the changes we make are geared towards being more generous. Other than the one where we just took away the $2 tier. But we also added another perk, which is listening to the live recording. You can jump in as an audience member of this live recording right now if you're at that tier. So go check it out, see the changes we made on Patreon, and then listen to this ad. Also, you can buy our merch. All the stuff that we can stuff our logo onto is available at horrormovietalk.com/shop. And you can also check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel, on Instagram. He's at DGOEBEL00. He takes commissions, and he's been a huge supporter of the show. And he's got a new project called Forayin. Check that out too. That's at FORRAEIN.
Sounds right to me.
And he's got a Patreon for that too, where he's doing a graphic novel that's kind of a medieval philosophical sci-fi story.
And there were
Chapter one's
boobies on the last
already out, but you can follow along. What?
And there were boobies on the last post.
And there were some nice titties in the chapter one. So, I mean, that's enough for the price of admission.
Do you think when he draws those, like do you think he's feeling it a little bit, or is just super serious? Like, this is art.
Think he's got someone in mind? Oh yeah.
Right.
Got a
it's
model
just like
the
desperation of when you're in like, fourth grade and you draw cartoon boobs.
Who among us haven't drawn cartoon boobs?
That's what it looks like. More importantly, listen to this ad. How many ad breaks are we going to have? I don't know. You never know. We shake it up. If you want to call and leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks for listening. Now let's get into spoilers. Okay, I didn't take a ton of notes on this one. I think I can remember most of what I want to talk about anyways. I'm sure there's lots of notable stuff to talk about in this film. The opening of it feels very studio enacted, which is, look at the Georgetown stairs. Look at them. You remember these? Remember how Kairos fell down the stairs? They're here, and it's like, they take so much time looking at these fucking stairs. I'm like, okay, we get it. It's a sequel to The Exorcist.
The first 5 minutes of the movie are shots of the town, the stairs. Shots of a kid on a bike, the stairs. Like,
have y'all been to the stairs?
Going.
No.
I'm in Richmond, Virginia, just a couple hours south. of DC, and it was I think it was last summer. I made a pilgrimage to the stairs, and there was there's a bunch of developments around them now, but it goes right into Georgetown. It doesn't look anything real like the movie anymore. But as soon as I was walking up, and this like unbelievably fit person was running, and like their sweat just splashed onto me as I was going down the stairs. But it was a cool spot to go visit sometime, make the pilgrimage.
Sure they weren't hitting you with holy water?
I think it could have been.
Yeah, they were trying to make sure they're like, no one comes here unless they're freaking weird.
Yeah.
Exorcist stairs. No,
yeah,
that's
the
really
Exorcist
cool, though.
stairs are one of those like, you know, one of those places where I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, obviously, it's just stairs. Like, what do you? It's like you take a full trip to Washington, D.C., and there's all this stuff to look at, and like, I guess tack on looking at some stairs too.
I mean, if they're around, I'll stop by for sure.
Yeah. What kind of horror fan are you, Bryce? Come on.
Good. I mean, fair enough. I mean, I guess you got to get a scene. You got to get a picture of you falling down the stairs.
Yeah.
You know, or at the bottom of the stairs. But yeah, they really want to remind you about the stairs at the beginning of this, and showing Jesus going peekaboo, his statue just going like,
yeah, that was strange. Actually, that took me out for a second.
Yeah, there's a lot of like little things like that are supposed to be scary or off-putting that just come off as kind of cartoony, you know, like the dream sequence.
Like the cathedral. There's like the cathedral. And this like big gust of wind comes in and basically just trashes the cathedral. And then this like wooden statue of Jesus opens his eyes and is like, ah, and it's a little strange, definitely.
I'm not sure. Like every time I watch The Exorcist III, I feel like I've seen a different version before. I think I might have seen like the director's cut before, because I feel like. Isn't there? I feel like there was a scene or some kind of visual that I didn't see in this movie of like a mutilated statue where it has like sharp pointed tits on the Virgin Mary or something like that, or something coming through her crotch. I don't remember seeing that in this one, but I swear that was in Exorcist 3.
I don't think I saw that.
There's like a different statue like that later in the movie, but it's similar. It's like very
similar. Which is really scary. And I really like how they handled that, because at the beginning of the movie, they're kind of talking about some of these murders that happen. You actually don't see the bodies. Mm-hmm. They're just explaining what happened. And yeah, he starts talking about this one. He was like, it was a little boy, had his head cut off, replaced with a statue that had like skewers through the eyes, and there's just so many, like it kind of almost sounds like they're doing too much, but then they show it like at the end of the movie and you're like, whoa, that is a crazy mutilated body.
Yeah. So there's this little boy that's found by the river, by the Potomac in Georgetown. And Kinderman comes up to him. Detective Kinderman's called to the scene. And he lifts up the sheet just a little bit, and he's like, ah. But they don't actually show it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they don't have to show it, because when Kinderman explains what happened, your head fills in the visuals way more effectively than if you would see it. Like, yeah, I think the main thing about the kid that was killed was a black boy, and the fact that the decapitated statue was painted in blackface and put on his head. It's like, Jesus, this is
it's
depraved, you know,
brutal,
and crucified on a horse.
Yeah, and that is kind of a common thread through the whole movie, is that it's definitely, you know, a combination of making you use your imagination and also feeding you so little. It's actually pretty hard to follow on the first watching. Like, is this your first time watching it, Max?
It was my first time watching, and the first 30 to 45 minutes, I was sitting there going, what is going on in this movie? I had no idea. I was catching on towards the end, though. They do a lot of dialogue dumping, and you kind of can like gather a lot towards the end. But
yeah, because there's a lot of like showing Kinderman looking at things and not explaining what he's looking at or why he's looking at like the hands. There's a lot of like shots of different things and different characters in the film that just feel like kind of creepy, but you don't know exactly why they're featuring them. And a lot of like little breadcrumbs that are left in the dialogue that are very easy to miss because it is formatted like a mystery thriller. Like they do not want to give you enough, sometimes a little too much like that. Like there's a little bit too much held close to the vest. I'm trying to think of one of the things. Like just explaining the Gemini killer, like what the Gemini killer was and what Kinderman's looking at. That takes way too long to reveal. Like it feels like there's no real reason to hide that from the audience. It just makes it a little more confusing. But the stuff like the reveal that Father Karras is still kind of alive is a huge reveal, and that's teased throughout the movie, and that works. But then it's also kind of hindered by the recasting. I don't know how easy it was for you to follow, Max, of seeing both Brad Dourif and what's his name, Jason Miller. Jason Miller. Yeah. Miller?
Dude,
yeah.
It actually worked so well on me because you're watching that first scene of him talking to, I guess, what do we call him? Father Karras or
Karras.
Patient X is what they label him in the credits.
So I'm watching it and I'm like really keyed in on the dialogue because it's a great monologue that he's giving and switching back and forth between faces. And then one of the times it switches back and forth, it's a different actor. And honestly, I didn't catch it for like a solid minute because I was so engrossed in the scene.
Like, what the hell's going on? I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I think it works really well. Like because the scene is so tense and you're so keyed into what he's talking about, they're able to make that switch, and it kind of just feels really natural until you're like, wait a second, this is a totally different guy now. And they didn't, I like that they didn't make me focus on noticing, like they let me figure it out.
Yeah, there's a really interesting story behind the scenes about what was going on with that scene. So originally, Legion, or the original movie that they're trying to make, there is none of the original cast. So Jason Miller wasn't attached. Even the people that were still alive at the time, they weren't able to come on. So George C. Scott is playing Kinderman, who is played by what's his name in the original film? I can't remember. Shit, that's going to bother me that I don't remember that. But and then the priest, Father Dyer, is played by someone different. I think that guy was still alive. He could have come on the film, but just had scheduling problems. And the fact that they're going to say that Father Karras was still alive, but they're just going to cast him as Brad Dourif. So it would have made more sense to just have no one from the original cast and just make you fill it in. But one of the studio notes was like, we got to get someone from the original cast. We got to get Jason Miller in here. And they'd already shot like the movie. And the studio interference didn't really come until after it was completed, and they forced them to do
reshoot,
an audience test. And the director said they just brought in the dumbest people they could possibly bring in for this test, and just were very confused. And it's not an easy film to follow, so makes sense. So they had like two stipulations. You gotta like have an exorcism in the movie, and you gotta bring in someone from the original cast so that we can market it as a true sequel somehow. And so Jason Miller was brought on. And instead of reshooting all the scenes with Jason Miller, they just interspersed Jason Miller with Brad Dourif. And basically it works really well because anytime that you see Jason Miller, it's basically like Father Karras talking, and then anytime you see Brad Dourif talking, for the most part, is the Gemini killer, which is the spirit that's possessing his body. And it works out really well. And apparently the reason why Jason Miller wasn't originally cast, and there's two conflicting reports, like the director says one way, which sounds like a little more protective of Jason Miller, and then Brad Dourif says probably the actual reality, which is Brad Dourif said like he was so in the depths of alcoholism that his brain was like, you know, pretty much not able to remember lines and stuff. And so like he's so limited in the film, and it's because he's got kind of this alcohol riddled brain at this point. And Blatty just says like, oh yeah, schedules didn't work out. But I mean, doesn't seem like Jason Miller was doing a lot at that point. So I'd probably believe Dourif's version of that more. And I can't imagine that Jason Miller would be able to pull off the performance that Brad Dourif does either.
No. They probably could have shot all of his scenes in like an hour.
Yeah.
Because he's shown a couple times, and he has maybe like 3 chunks of lines. And that's really it.
Yeah.
So they didn't need him for much.
Yeah. And he was all like shot. It was very much like a Brando in Apocalypse Now. It's all like laying down in the shadows. It probably was a pretty easy day for Jason Miller to shoot those.
Yeah.
And then the other main thing that they added was the exorcism at the end. Apparently, adding that stuff and doing reshoots and adding that exorcism scene was $4 million. Like it blew up the budget just to add that exorcism scene. And it was crazy. It was like so unneeded, the amount of special effects and stuff that they used in that scene, where it's like opening up the gates of hell and, you know, lightning and the floor falling through. And it just turned into Hellraiser for some reason for like the last 10 minutes. And you're like, you didn't need that at all. Like it could have been just a pretty intimate story. And the original ending was Kinderman just goes and shoots him in the head at the end.
That's how it is in the book too. That's kind of how it ends in the book.
So I want to talk a little bit about the magical worldview of this movie, because
I love that.
I think the way possession is used is a little strange, and also the way exorcisms are used is a little strange. Like exorcisms, this is what I don't get about movies and exorcisms. How come sometimes it works and sometimes it don't? And the priest that came in and did that exorcism was killing it. Like he was hitting his beats, he was saying the words, he had the faith, he was ignoring the distractions, and still the demons just allowed to shoot him up to the wall and peel off his skin. Like that's not fair.
Well, Max, you want to blow the load at the end of the movie now, or you want to just get into it now, or should we build up to it and then
no? This is the spoiler section.
Okay.
No, I think it's totally fine to talk about it now.
Cool. So the Legion aspect, right? Like, so the original Exorcist, right? We're just dealing with Pazuzu, right?
Zuzu.
That one original demon. But in this movie, Jason Miller's character is actually possessed by kind of like it seems like to imply that it's Pazuzu, but he also says we are like Legion and Kinderman. There's like the classic stereotypical go to the library and research, the heavy information. And Kinderman reads us, passage in one of the books. I guess it's maybe Last Rites or something. And he's like, Legion, we are Legion, we are many. And so there's actually a multitude of demons that are hosting that Karras' body is hosting. And so the reason that Father Mourning, the priest that gets his brain ripped out, or basically, he can't defeat him because it's like the demons came to fucking play. They're just like, all right, all of us are here now, and you're not going to lose this time. So that's why.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the most well-known story in the Bible about a possession is this story of, we are many, or we are Legion. And then Christ casts out the legion of demons into a herd of swine that run and fall off a cliff. Which, swine, if your friend is going to run and fall off a cliff, like, you don't have to. Those demons could still be alive in those swine if they just didn't follow their friends. Anyways, so there's that, but also like in the original Exorcist,
and drowned themselves.
Yeah, and drowns themselves. And then, but in the original Exorcist, Pazuzu says, or makes it implied, that there's so many people in here with me. And when Father Merrick comes, he says, and like Father Karras is telling him, like, there's actually like, I counted like 3 or 4 demons or entities inside. And then Father Merrick just shuts him down immediately and says, there's only one. There's always only one. Like, and so there's this, I don't know how much they're carrying over, but demons are not usually the most reliable narrators of what's going on. So I don't know if it is Legion or if it's just the Gemini killer that's possessing Father Karras' body. But yeah, I mean, in the dialogue, it's the Gemini killer is possessing this body and had described how 17 years ago, when he was executed, his body was, or his spirit was in the ether, in the void, and was pulled out by the other one, implied like as either Satan or Legion or whatever,
or Pazuzu,
was like the pro. And he was like, here, I got a job for you. And the master, that's right. And helps the Gemini killer be input into Father Karras' body, which technically was dead. But was like just barely alive. And I don't know if how they described it, that like that Father Karras was on the verge of death and was about to like make his way into the afterlife, but I don't know, it feels like Father Karras' spirit was like heading out the door, and then Gemini killer was like, nope, you're coming with me, pushes him back into the body, and then is basically existed in a brain dead body for 17 years and until the synapses and stuff were reformed enough to where he actually could have control.
And he said that,
so, I mean, it's an interesting premise. It's a great premise of like, serial killer reincarnated through possession. That was used later in Fallen, which we've covered, I think, on a pretentious review. But yeah, it's a great idea to have a demon that possesses people that's the serial killer.
So what I don't get, though, is at the end of Exorcist 1, Father Karras gets possessed by the demon inside Reagan. And then he jumps out the window, basically sacrificing himself. So he falls to his death. And then are we supposed to believe that Pazuzu leaves his body at that point because it's no longer viable. But then he finds a new guy, the dead serial killer, to go in with Father Karras. And then 17 years later, he's able to function enough to start killing again. But then he doesn't even use Father Karras' body to do the kills. He then leaves Father Karras to possess other people to go do the kills. I guess my question is, why does he need to be in Father Karras at all?
I think it's, I mean, the way it's kind of described in the movie is he has influence over others, mostly others that have weaker minds. So he's in the psychiatric hospital that has a bunch of elderly and catatonic people in this wing. And so it seems like, and it shows several times the people in that wing talking about hearing voices on the radio, non-existent radios. So I think like what's implied is, I don't think the demon is leaving. No, I don't know. Maybe the demon is leaving.
So
maybe maybe Karras is just his home base and he gets to like come back to it or something. I don't know. It's not fully explained, which I'm fine with.
So Father Karras, so the whole like the reason why Father Karras's body is in this position. So Father Karras tumbles down the stairs, he dies. Almost simultaneously or within a few hours, the Gemini killer in another area is electrocuted and killed. Just as the Gemini killer's soul is like going down to hell, the master or the demon's like, wait a second, I've got a plan here. So Father Karras, right? He's the one that pulled Pazuzu out. So it ends up becoming a revenge tale for basically for like Satan. So the revenge plot is we're gonna make Jason Miller's character, Father Karras, who was the hero at the end of the first Exorcist, witness and experience all of the Gemini killer's killings from his perspective, and he's helpless. So Jason Miller's soul is still in Jason Miller. So Father Karras' soul is still in Father Karras' body. The Gemini killer is also in Father Karras' body. And then a host of Legion demons are also just hanging out, just like Bryce said, kind of it's like home base within this hospital. And then from there, the different demons go off and execute the orders of the Gemini killer and the master as revenge to Father Karras, because he has to experience all of this horrific stuff. So Father Karras has to experience the killing of the Kintry boy and all the other killings, and he's helpless.
So I think if I died and some supernatural being was like, no, check this out, we're going to put you in a new body and you're going to continue what you're doing, I'd like, sweet, this is great. And then they put me in a vegetable, a catatonic vegetable. I'd be like, I was duped. I got duped.
You know what?
This is
fuck you,
cool.
Satan.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
I'd be mad.
Well, what did you guys think about the that first like confession scene when there's a different priest in the church and he hears this old lady comes in and she's like, what? I killed 17. What did you guys think of that? Do you remember that scene?
I mean, it was creepy. It was good.
I thought it was super creepy.
I actually also thought it was super creepy because, it starts off, you think it's just a regular old woman. And she's saying like, oh, sometimes I'll step on a crack, but the crack was kind of in the shape of a cross. And I feel bad for that. And it's like, it's a sweet old lady just trying to like do her best to feel, like she's doing good. And then casually slips in that she also slit someone's throat, Yeah,
so she's one of the catatonics that gets possessed and goes in. And we find out that priest is also involved in the first Exorcist movie. So you've got Father Karras. Now this priest is involved eventually in the exorcism. And
and one of the monologues that Brad Dourif gives like is kind of an exposition dump, but he talks about how, he's the Gemini killer and he was given this body, but really he's following the orders of the master and he's kind of annoyed that he's got to kill these people that the master has an agenda with, which is all the people related to the exorcism in the first movie. and that he would rather just it be random. But yeah, and a lot of these people are only tangentially related. So like the black boy that's murdered is the son of the linguistics expert that pointed out that it was English played backwards and not another language, which is like, yeah, that's kind of a dick move. What did he have to do with it? Like, that's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then like the father that was killed in the confession was the father at Georgetown that approved Damien Karras to do the exorcism.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of just like every priest and person that was kind of tangentially related to the exorcism of Pazuzu is, you know, has a vendetta towards them in this movie. And then in the towards the end, like the Gemini killer says, like, the master's throwing me a bone. I just get to do a couple, you know, for me, you know.
Yeah.
And there's some of the murders that happen.
So Kinderman is like asking for, you know, they're doing fingerprints at the first kid's death, and then after the murder of the father in the confessional, they're also looking for matching. Kinderman just assumes there's going to be matching prints because it's got the same kind of killer markings. It's like the sign of the Gemini killer, and then the autopsy also reports that priest was injected with succinylcholine, which is this like drug. It's like a paralyzing drug that basically numbs the nervous system. So, but the victims can feel everything that's happening while they're being murdered, but they can't move. And so this is kind of this like super dark, like every murder that happens, everyone felt the pain. They were all injected with this succinylcholine. So
yeah, I mean, it's a really, like, it's really super dark. Like anytime it explains what's actually going on, it's much more than just like, and then they were murdered. It was like, no, they felt themselves getting dissected, and you know, they really died from asphyxiation because they couldn't control their breathing anymore. Which is like, well, that's the most horrifying death I can think of. And yeah, it's good. And so I think the real heart of this movie is that it really establishes Father Dyer's relationship with Kinderman. I think it's really sweet that they're like, hey, this is like the 17th anniversary of Father Karras's death. Like, and it shows like a scene where Father Dyer is talking to someone. He's saying like, yeah, I'm going to go out to the movies with Kinderman, like it's the anniversary of Karras's death, and like he really, you know, needs support in this time. Like he kind of gets down, and so I'm gonna kind of try to cheer him up. And then there's another like mirror scene with Kinderman talking about like, yeah, I gotta go hang with Father Dyer. It's the anniversary of this death, and he's really bummed out.
They're buds.
Yeah, and so they go see this movie and cheer each other up. It's
a Wonderful Life.
Granted, Kinderman's not doing a great job because he describes in detail this recent serial murder that he's investigating to prove that the world is super evil, and you know, nothing has changed. So not really a cheerful experience for Father Dyer. But it establishes the friendship, and through like the monologues and stuff, it just adds so much richness to the character and the relationship. Probably one of my favorite monologues in the movie is the monologue about the carp in his bathtub, which is great. Fantastic. And George C. Scott is the perfect actor to deliver this monologue that's like so dry and funny and also somehow menacing at the same time.
See, my favorite dialogue between those two is when they're talking about movies. These lines feel like they're straight out of American Psycho or something. Like they're that funny to me. When he asks him like what movie he wants to go see, and he's like, "It's a Wonderful Life." He's like, "I've actually seen it before, though." And he asks him how many times. He says 23, and then he's just like, that's commendable.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "What's your favorite movie?" And the other guy says,
Fly.
"The Fly."
Yeah.
Yeah, there's good lines there.
Yeah, that was between the two. That was between Father Dyer and one of the other priests. And
Oh,
that
was
priest
it?
that said
I
his
thought that
favorite
was
movie was The Fly. It was actually cast in The Fly too. Said in the trivia,
Ooh.
which is kind of funny. So yeah, so that relationship is established and is like the touchstone that we get in Act 1, and then Father Dyer is murdered. Like when he was in the hospital. Horrifically. Gets drained of all of his blood, and he has all of the trademarks of the Gemini killer, and so it really ups the stakes for Kinderman to figure out what's going on, and that's like the heart of the movie. And it's really like you get the sense of the demon is just like toying with Kinderman and just trying to make him suffer as much as he can. And really, honestly, Kinderman had nothing to do with the exorcism. Like, he didn't help at all. Like, he just came and was like, "Hey, is it possible that your girl shoved him out the window?" "No," she's like 13. "That's impossible." And then he walks away and it doesn't come back until the end, other than the fact that he has a friendship with Damien Karras.
Well, yeah.
And watches movies with him. Like, he has no impact on the Pazuzu being exorcised from Reagan. So it's kind of, again, common theme. Satan's a dick. He's not nice.
Yeah. And as Father Dyer and Kinderman are having their excellent dialogue, there's a lot of emphasis on how Kinderman is not a man of faith, right? He like does not believe. Mm-hmm. He's just like he's like, "I'm happy to have you a priest as my best friend, but I don't really care about all that God stuff," which kind of sets up Kinderman's character arc by the end, as he eventually becomes a believer.
Well, I thought that was like a super satisfying ending too, because Kinderman isn't converted to faith. Like his in the end, and this is probably the part that's actually in the original script. Like, you get the feeling, because like, in the end, it's the exorcism didn't actually quite work. It worked enough to like get Father Karras to have control over the body for a couple of seconds and beg Kinderman to shoot him in the head. And I think in the original, it's literally just like Kinderman shooting the guy in the head to kill him, so the demon doesn't have a body anymore. But the dialogue, I think, is probably common between those two versions, which is Kinderman saying like, "I believe in, death and injustice and sickness and like all the terrible things like he has a belief in." Like, he doesn't. So basically it's saying like, "I believe in evil, I have a strong testimony of evil and Satan, and I don't know anything about God, but in essence it's the same thing." Well, if you believe that it's only evil influences, like, you have the belief in the supernatural if it's coming from an outside source. And then
well, it's interesting because lots of exorcism movies will have, the point is to show you the evil, but they'll have glimpses of the good in there to show like, oh, maybe this exorcism power does work and God's with us, and we have this good as well. But this one, we pretty much don't see any of that. Like, yes, we have that exorcism, but it completely fails and the guy gets destroyed. So like, he has no reason to believe in anything good. All he's shown is evil throughout the whole movie. And so that's what he testifies to, is that I do believe, but all I can believe in is what I'm shown. And what I've shown is that evil exists.
I believe in you.
Yeah.
Can we just take a moment and appreciate Brad Dourif's performance, like, in this movie? How amazing that the monologues that he gives are, and like how much he brings to it.
I think the whole main cast did a really good job.
No, absolutely. The main cast is great, but particularly Brad Dourif as this
It's amazing.
killer.
It's terrifying.
terrifying. Just like to be able to bring that amount of like gravitas and evil to this character is so incredible, because like he is terrifying when he's talking. No matter if he's like just kind of delighting in the intricacies of like, you know, actually this is how, you know, I drained all of his blood and I had to, you know, snake this tube through this artery, and, you know, to get all this, to squeeze out all the blood, I had to like push his legs, and just like the delight that he has talking about these horrifying things works. And then he transitions into being straight on screaming angry. It's like terrifying. It's like, it's, I mean, Brad Dourif is awesome. He's great in everything he's in. You know, he's great as the voice of Chucky. He's great in the Lord of the Rings. Like, but, you know, I haven't seen everything that he's in, but this is the one that I'm like, I think this is the character that best showed how much he can bring to a character if you just give him free reign to chew the scene up and spit it out.
And his like tone goes like up and down. He'll have this high pitched voice and then low voice, and then it just all over. You can't keep track of what you know, where his tone is. It's very unsettling.
Yeah, it's like, you know that scene in Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is like talking about the power of the ring and what would or Galadriel transitioning from like, you know, I could be basically a terrifying god. Like just the Brad Dourif is able to do that with his own voice with zero effects on it, you know?
Yeah.
And like, it's just a great vocal command performance. So I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah.
One last note, and unless you guys have more to talk about, this was the favorite film of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the Dahmer, not doc, but that series done by what's his name? The guy that does all the shitty shows. But in interviews, Jeffrey Dahmer claimed to relate to the idea of an external evil being responsible for his murderous urges, and the fact that he drugged his victims before dismemberment is reminiscent of how the Gemini kills his victims in this movie, which is terrifying. And it was part of his routine to watch this movie with his victims, waiting for the drug to take effect. So, yeah. That sucks.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
Let's talk about that the scene though, right? The hallway scene.
Yes, I can't believe we haven't talked about this. Exorcism III has probably one of the most legendary jump scares in all of film. Like, this jump scare scene is probably like, you know, of the highest quality. And it's so confusing. That's why I say the direction is kind of a mixed bag, because, you know, some stuff falls flat from Blatty. You know, that dream sequence was like pretty corny. You know, some of the, you know, visual stuff was like kind of off the wall, like the fact that they have like the Joker from the Batman's head on one of these statues in the background for some reason.
It's very weird.
That's creepy but weird. Like that's just distracting and not super effective. And then he does one of the most perfect jump scares ever put to film by like just, you know, misdirecting you and doing like a shitty jump, actually a pretty still effective jump scare with like the patient in the bed, and then just slow plays the audience so long that it's like, I know something's coming, but I'm so lulled into a state of security by looking at this like basically like security cam angle of this hallway. And then
the first time I saw it, I couldn't handle myself. The anticipation. I was like, what is like just the tension on this, like, you know, this hallway where it's just mundane things happening. And gosh, it's It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best parts is like it's like I said, like a security cam angle where it's just looking at this hallway, and the jump scare comes because all of a sudden it has this like snap zoom that's like zooming in while this kinetic moment of this, person in, I don't know, was it like nun robes or something with like
I thought it was the statue.
chopper?
Was it not the statue?
No, it's the catatonic. It's one of the catatonics who's wearing like some sort of
flowy
it looks
robe,
like almost like religious garb.
Yeah.
And then with the bone shears, you don't actually see the decapitation, but then it jump cuts to the statue, the religious statue that's already had its head cut off. Yeah.
That's why I thought it was the statue running after because of that cut afterwards. But no, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else we want to talk about?
Not really. I really enjoyed. That was a good pick, though. Like, I am glad that I was able to watch a sequel that I didn't hate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this has been on my short list for a while. This is one of those where I'm like, how have I not picked this one yet? But every time it comes to my choice, like I just didn't feel like in the mood for it or something. I don't know. But
it definitely, I would say, watch it again next year, and then see if you notice something else. And I think it just keeps on giving. The more I watch it, the more the intricacies are revealed.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll say it like in terms of recommendations. This is the only sequel prequel to The Exorcist that's worth your time at all. So there's that. If you like kind of gritty thrillers like, Seven or stuff in that vein, this is also another great one. But overall, it's just got some fantastic performances and fantastic moments worth checking out.
Getting ready for the Exorcist Deceiver. It'll prepare you. Isn't that what the next one's going to be called? The Exorcist Deceiver?
Isn't Mike Flanagan kind of taking the reins? I think I heard something like that.
That would be surprising. I mean, he'd do better than, it's only up from Believer. Like,
Believer was one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Believer just squandered any goodwill by just torturing and completely changing the Ellen Burstyn character. Anywho, all right. Well, let's get into our next bit. That's right. It's horror or porno.
Such a long drop.
Don't you dare complain about this drop. It's the best one we have.
You could cut it in half.
It's pretty long.
Horror porno.
Whose voice is that, by the way?
It's mine, of course.
Yeah, right. Come on.
It's pitched up a little.
That's hilarious.
All right. In this game, horror or porno, it's a true old school one. It's going to be audio clips only, which makes it harder. I mean, it'd be too obvious if I showed you the actual clips, but I'm going to play you a clip of audio from either a exorcism or exorcist based movie or a clip from a porn. And you have to tell me whether it's from an exorcist movie or a porn movie. So this is technically exorcist or porno on today's episode. And I'll keep score between Ben and Max.
Okay.
It's a lot harder than you think. Like you think that you're a horror expert, but you never know. Okay. First clip. Okay, horror or porno, or horror or Exorcist.
That has to be an Exorcist.
Sorry, Exorcist
movie.
or porno.
Yeah,
What do you-
man. Just the soundtrack alone was the production on the soundtrack. I would say Exorcist.
Yeah,
Exorcist.
I'm gonna go Exorcist movie as well.
You're both wrong. That was a porno. That was from the Human Sexipede.
Oh,
Oh
That's
very
terrible.
tricky.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
All right, next up.
what were they even saying there?
I mean, I heard Reagan and Pazuzu in that clip. So
Who wants to
gotta
go
with the
first?
Exorcism. I'll go with the Exorcism.
I think it sounds like it's from an Exorcist movie.
Well, yeah, I mean you can't see it, but when they say ray gun, it's actually an actual ray gun. It's a sci-fi porno called Lord of the Rims.
It is not, dude. You're making this up.
I mean, yeah, and it sounds like it's saying Pazuzu, but it's actually Pazouz, which is one of the main villains.
Bryce, hold
That
on.
holds
Is
the ray
this,
gun of power.
is this whole game a
God.
ruse?
Next up.
Wait, whoa. Okay, that one sounded like a porn.
That sounded like a porno.
Wow, you guys are not doing good. That's the exorcism of Emily Rose.
It is not, dude. You're lying. You are lying.
I feel
I think this game
gaslit.
is. I think this game is a ruse.
I don't know. I mean, maybe the trick is just going against your better, judgment and
No,
just
show me the clip. Now I need to pull the video of Emily Rose.
Well, I didn't get the video clip. I'm only
But
pulled
you
the
took
audio
it from a video clip, right?
Yeah, but then I'd have to track through the whole movie. I'm not going to do that right now. We got
You're
an
such a
episode to record.
liar.
Okay, next up.
I think that's a horror.
Really?
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, I think it's a horror.
Wow. That one was actually a porn.
Damn.
That one was
Terrible.
Texas Chainsawed Me.
They didn't even try with that one.
No, not really. All right, this one should be easy. I mean, if you guys can't get this one, then I don't know what I can tell you.
The soul is mine. Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me.
I'm gonna say porno.
Ben?
The original Exorcist, hopefully.
Ben, you've scored your first point. It's the original Exorcist. I mean,
Thank
come
you.
on. It's a
I thought you were
notable
trying to
scene.
throw
You
me
should
off
know
the
that,
trail.
Max. Okay, let me see. Now I can't remember which one. I can't remember which ones I did. Okay, next up.
Yeah? Wake up. Like this one too? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, look at that. I want you to touch your fucking dick with the balls. Oh, good boy. This right one's not cooperating. Bad boy. Why is that one always fucking running away? Why is that one running away? No pre-cum. Make it go back in. Shove it back in. Shove it.
Are they slapping his
back in
balls?
What do you think?
That was the
Exorcist or
heretic.
porno?
Yeah, that was. I don't remember any exorcism movies that mentioned pre-com, so I'll say porno.
Max, you were actually correct. It was Exorcist II, The Heretic. I can't believe you got that. That's crazy. Both of you got, I mean, at least you know your the Exorcist movies. All right. 2 more.
I'll do something, Daddy. Reverend, how about a blowing job?
No.
No.
Blowing job.
What did you say? What's a blowing job? Tell me what that is. You don't know, do you? You don't even know that's not what it's called because you were not a demon. A demon would know what that is. But maybe not a 16-year-old homeschool girl. Because I don't
16?
Think no.
We better be in Australia.
I think you're an innocent girl. I think you're a little innocent girl who doesn't know what you're talking about. I think you're an innocent little girl. That's what I think. I don't think you're innocent at all.
She is an innocent!
Okay, what do you guys say?
I hate all these clips so much.
I mean, I'm just gonna say porno because I don't even know what to think anymore.
Max?
I'll go against the grain and I'll say horror.
This one was a porno. This was Dawn of the Head.
Dawn of the Head.
Okay, last one. This is your last chance.
Okay, I got tied up.
Put your head down. Hold it. Get down. Get fucking down. Here, come on, baby.
Let's stick it in the back of your throat. Stick it in the back of your throat.
All right, horror or porno?
May this kind of love never find me. This. Oh. That sounded like a porno to me.
It's gotta be a porno.
All right, you guys are pretty good. That was from Forrest Hump. So, I think Ben won that one with 3 points.
Yeah.
So, congratulations for beating horror or porno. Yes, we're going to listen to the whole thing. Alrighty, that's it for our episode today. Thanks for joining us. If you want to call and leave us a voicemail, 682-253-4468. Thanks to all our new patrons. Let me see. Derek J, Taylor B, Reed, and more. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't know when this one's actually going to come out, so we'll see. Thanks. Leave all the reviews and good words and all that stuff. Follow us on social media. Go to horrormovietalk.com for all the links. Bye.
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 Song.
Good day, sir.
More energy. More energy. More passion. More legwork.
Through the scraggly woods.